Beth Combs here for my morning yoga practice session. We're going to be doing some gentle movement, kind of warm up the body, and then some standing poses to help build our foundation and work with our first chakra this morning. Get you grounded and centered and ready to face the day ahead. So thanks for joining me, and we'll go ahead and get started here. We're going to sit in seated cross-legged pose. And my hips are pretty tight, especially in the morning, so I like to sit up on a blanket or a bolster, sofa cushion. And um, so you might want to give that a try if you feel a little stiff in the morning. So we're going to sit on our mat or whatever it is we're sitting on. Root the sits bones down. And then lengthen up the spine all the way through the neck and out the crown of the head. The first chakra is actually located at the base of our spine, where our tailbone is on our bodies. And sometimes if I'm feeling particularly anxious, I will actually place my hand on my tailbone or over my tailbone. Maybe as you're sitting here, you can picture a red cube that's right underneath your tailbone. Maybe you notice some heat or some energy in that area. Maybe you can close your eyes here. Just observe or notice any sensations in your body or particular areas in your body. And see if you can just observe them without attaching to them. It's really important to get connected to our first chakra. It really helps us when we feel supported, when we feel safe. It really allows us to be able to kind of attack the day and dream and to do the things that we want in our lives. And when our first chakra is unstable or unsteady, we can really live in a fearful way. And that makes it really hard for us to get what we want out of life, to do the things we want to do in our lives. So I just wanted to invite you to practice with me today and kind of just hone in on your foundation and see how you feel in that first chakra area. Maybe reflect on where you're feeling anxious or fearful, and see if you can just observe it, process, and then release it, um, so that you can create a safer environment for yourself um, and for those that you love. We'll take a few more breaths here. And then we'll go ahead and come on to our tabletop position. If you're sitting on something, you can go ahead and move it out of the way. So tabletop is knees under the hips and then wrists underneath the shoulders. Our feet are tops of the feet are flat on the mat, and our shins are also pressing into the mat. We're going to do a few rounds of cat-cow here. So we're going to inhale, we're going to lift our forehead and our tailbone up. And then we're going to exhale and we're going to pull the belly button back towards the spine. You really want to kind of pull from the hips here just to get a deeper stretch. So we'll inhale, pull the forehead and the tailbone up. Exhale, pull the belly button back. Inhale to come up. Exhale to pull back. And then I invite you to do 2 more at your own pace, following your own breath. And then we'll meet together back at tabletop. And then we're going to wake up the abdominals just a little bit. So we're going to reach our right hand, fingertips out in front of us, left toes are back behind us. We'll take an inhale. And then exhale and lift just the right arm. We'll take 5 breaths here. And then you can lower the hand down and the knee down, and we'll switch sides. So inhale, exhale, place the left fingertips out in front and the right toes back behind. Take another inhale. Exhale, lift the left arm up alongside the left ear. You really want to be pressing up and out of that right wrist. Then we'll exhale, lower everything down. And then our next rendition, you can do the same thing, or you can lift the opposite leg so that it's hip height. So we'll bring the right fingertips out in front, left toes back behind us. Take an inhale. And then exhale, you can lift the right arm and the left leg. And exhale, lower everything down. And then we'll switch sides. So left fingertips out in front, right toes back behind us. Pressing through that right heel. We'll inhale. And then on the exhale, lift the left arm and the right leg. You want to be reaching through those left fingertips, pressing through that right heel. And exhale and lower down. And then we'll do just some hip circles to kind of wake up the hips a little bit. So you can bring the butt back towards the heels and then forward, or you can do kind of a hula hoop motion, whatever your body happens to need this morning. And then we'll switch directions. And then we'll come back for a child's pose. So you can keep the big toes touching and widen the knees, the width of the mat. Bring the butt towards the heels and then lower the arms down while keeping the elbows lifted and place the forehead on the mat. Then we'll inhale, come back up to tabletop. And then we'll come into the first downward facing dog of the day. So palms, you're gonna move them palms distance ahead of where your hands are and flip the toes so the bottoms of the toes are on the mat. And then you're gonna pull the hips up and back towards the sky or the ceiling. Feel free to pedal your feet or walk the dog here. You can also keep the knees bent if the backs of the thighs, the hamstrings are tight. You want your weight even between your hands and your feet, and the weight in the hands needs to be between your index fingers and your thumb. And then we're going to step the feet up in between the hands at the top of the mat. And we'll fold forward here. You can feel free to clasp the elbows if you'd like. Get a little bit longer stretch in the back and the neck. Again, feel free to bend your knees here. You can even rest your chest on your thighs if you'd like. Feel free to shake your head no and nod your head yes. And then if you're clasping the elbows, feel free to switch sides. And then bend the knees here. And we're going to inhale and sweep the arms up and around. And exhale the hands to heart center. And we're going to do some sun salutations to kind of get the body warmed up a little bit more. So we'll inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale and fold forward. Feel free to bend the knees here. Inhale, lift the torso halfway up. Exhale, step back, lower the knees down, lower into tabletop, and then all the way down to the mat with your torso. Pull the tailbone towards the heels and inhale up into cobra. And then exhale, come back to tabletop, and then back to downward facing dog. So pull the hips up towards the sky. Firm the upper arms in towards the ears. Again, feel free to bend the knees here if you need to. Feel free to pedal the feet out if you'd like to stretch in your calves. And then we'll step the feet up in between the hands at the top of the mat. Inhale, lift the torso halfway up. Exhale and fold forward. Feel free to bend the knees here as you inhale, sweep the arms up and around, and exhale the hands to heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift the torso halfway up. Exhale, step the feet back, lower down to tabletop and all the way to the mat. You want to pull the tailbone towards the heels and then inhale the torso up into cobra. And then exhale, come back to tabletop and then up to downward facing dog. You can always lower down into child's pose if you need a rest. Then we'll step the feet up to the top of the mat. Inhale, lift the torso halfway up. Exhale and fold forward. Then feel free to bend the knees as you inhale, sweep the arms up and around, and exhale the hands to heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift the torso halfway up using the strength of your legs. Exhale, lower down to tabletop, and then all the way down to the mat. Pull the tailbone towards the heels. You want all 10 toes flat on the mat, the tops of the toes. And then you're going to inhale the torso up into cobra. And then exhale, come back to tabletop position. And then pull the hips up towards the sky. And then we'll step the feet up to the top of the mat and in between the hands. We're going to inhale, lift the torso halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Feel free to bend the knees here as you inhale and sweep the arms up and around. Exhale the hands to heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift the torso halfway up. Exhale, step the feet back, lower down to tabletop, and then lower the torso all the way to the mat. Keep the feet flat on the mat. Pull the tailbone towards the heels. Inhale the torso up to cobra. And then exhale, come back to tabletop, and then pull the hips up for downward facing dog. Again, make sure your hands are nice and flat on the mat and most of the weight is between the index finger and the thumb. Then we're going to step the feet up in between the hands at the top of the mat. Inhale the torso halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, sweep the arms up and around. Exhale the hands to heart center. And we'll do one more round here. So inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift the torso halfway up. Exhale, step the feet back, lower down to tabletop, and then lower the torso all the way down. Press all 10 toes into the mat, pull the tailbone towards the heels, and then lift the torso up any amount into cobra or upward facing dog. And then lower the knees, pull back into downward facing dog. On an exhale. Feel free to pedal the feet out here again or keep the knees bent if your hamstrings are still tight. Then we'll step the feet up to the top of the mat. We'll inhale, lift the torso halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Feel free to bend the knees here. And then inhale, sweep the arms up and around. And exhale the hands to heart center. So next I'm going to move to the middle of the mat a little bit more, and just to give me more space in both directions. And we're going to get set up for tree pose. So standing poses in particular, it's really helpful to try to make sure that we've got ourselves centered. So we're going to actually, before we even do tree pose, let's just take a moment in mountain pose. And that's our kind of traditional standing pose here, or Tadasana as it's known in Sanskrit. We want the weight to be even between all four corners of our feet. We want the tailbone pulling down towards our heels. Another way to notice this, you can actually pull the frontal hip bones and the front ribs towards each other. It's kind of like a mini crunch, but it helps engage the abdominal muscles. Roll the shoulders back so they're away from the ears. Maybe lift the chin a little bit to keep it parallel to the ground, and to also lengthen the back of the neck. And again, just that envisioning a string pulling the crown of the head towards the sky. Just take a few breaths here. Notice how stable or unsteady you might feel right now. Just notice whatever it is that you feel in your body. Can you allow it to be there? Can you just observe it? If you have any emotions coming up, can you let them be there? Can you truly feel them and then release them? So I find for myself that my standing poses, I tend to, especially more challenging ones, I tend to get distracted by noticing the sensation in my thighs or the shaking in my legs. Excuse me. But if I can return to the breath, and I can return to focusing on that first chakra, like I said, envisioning that red cube at the base of your tailbone, it really helps me to feel the energy of being able to hold the pose better, and not better, but hold the pose and not feel as much agony as you might otherwise notice. So we're going to do tree pose here. So we're going to ground through that right heel, really strengthen that leg going all the way into the earth. I want you to firm the upper right hip in towards the midline of the body, so kind of engage that glute muscle. And we'll start with our hands on our hips. Maybe pull the belly button in towards the spine. And then we'll place the left foot like a kickstand above the right ankle. And it's pretty early in the morning, so if you feel pretty unsteady, you can stay here, and that's totally fine. You're still getting a lot of benefits from the strengthening of this right leg and balance that comes just with this pose. If you feel pretty steady and you'd like a little bit more, however, you can bring the sole of the left foot up on the shin or the calf. You could even bring it to the upper thigh, but avoid the knee area. We don't want to be knocking our knee out to the side here.
You want to gaze about 10 feet in front of you and maybe bring the arms up alongside the ears, sliding the shoulder blades down the back. Then we'll exhale, we'll lower the leg down, lower the arms down, maybe shake the legs out a little bit because that right leg definitely got a little bit of a workout there. And then we're going to ground through the left heel. So we're going to place our hands on our hips once again. We're going to bring that right foot, kind of like a kickstand, up on the left leg. Again, pull the hip bones and the ribs together to lengthen the low back and also to engage the abdominals. You can gaze about 10 feet in front of you. Maybe bring the right foot up onto the left leg. You can bring the arms up to goalpost or cactus arms this time. Again, continue to gaze 10 feet in front of you. If you lose your balance, can you shake it off and try again? Can you release any judgment and not being able to hold the pose the entire time? Then we'll exhale, lower everything down. Again, feel free to shake the legs out here. And then we'll go ahead and set up for warrior two. So we're going to face the long edge of our mats. Step the feet out 3 to 4 feet apart. We're going to pick up the left heel and move it away from us. And then we're going to pick up the right toes and rotate them out. So we want to rotate the leg from the hip and not just lower down on the leg. Our pelvis is pointing towards the upper left corner of our mats. Place your hands on your hips to keep you in proper alignment. And then I want you to rotate just your torso back towards the long edge of the mat. Take a nice big inhale here, and then on your next exhale, go ahead and bend that right knee. And you want the knee tracking above the ankle. And you want to make sure you're pressing the knee out so it's not bending in or collapsing in on the inside of that right foot. We'll bring the arms up to a T, spreading nice and wide across the collarbone, and gaze down that middle finger. So you want your weight even between both of your feet. So you don't want to be leaning forward or falling backwards. Nice, even balance. Then we're going to flip the right palm to face the sky, and we're going to reach the torso back in reverse warrior. So you can lightly place the left hand on the left thigh behind you. Reach the right fingertips up towards the sky or back behind you. Keep those legs strong. And we'll inhale, come back up, flip the palm back down, then straighten that right knee. You can bring the toes back so they're parallel, and then feel free to step the feet together. Give the legs a shake. And then we'll switch sides here. So this time we're going to pick the right heel up, move it away, pick up the left toes, rotate them out. This time the pelvis is pointing towards the back right corner of the mat. We're going to lock the pelvis in place and then twist just the torso to the side of the mat. Take a nice big inhale. On your next exhale, you can bend that left knee this time and bring the arms up to a T once again. Gaze down that middle finger. We want the outer edge of the right foot sealed on the mat. And we're going to flip the left palm to face the sky and reach up and back. Lightly place the right fingertips on the mat. Then we'll inhale, we'll come back up to center, straighten that left knee, bring the feet parallel to each other, and you can step the feet together, shake the knees out. So one thing that I enjoy about standing poses is, especially when I go to my edge, is I notice how strong I truly am. So I hope that you have, even if you're a little tired or your legs are a little shaky, that you also have noticed how strong you are, even early in the morning. So we'll do just one more seated pose, and then we'll take our Shavasana. So I'm going to actually sit up on my blanket again. My tailbone likes to point out, so this actually helps bring my pelvis back into proper alignment. So we'll stretch the feet out in front of us, flex them nice and strong, so really engage the legs, and then we'll inhale, bring the arms up alongside the ears, and then exhale and fold forward. Again, you can feel free to bend your knees here if you need to. And then we'll inhale, come back up with the arms, and then lower them down. And then we'll set up for butterfly or butterfly pose. So bring the soles of the feet together. Sit up nice and tall here, really ground those sits bones into the mat, and then exhale and fold forward any amount. So it could just be this much. You could just have your hands on your thighs, but you should feel a nice stretch through the groin area and the inner thighs. And then fold forward. You could place the hands out in front of you any amount. You could give yourself a foot massage if you wanted to. Continue breathing. See if you can send some love and compassion to your hip joints. So we'll inhale and come back up to center. And then we'll go ahead and set up for Shavasana. So just go ahead and lie back on your back, and we'll take our final resting pose here. So again, if you've got a blanket, you can place it under your head or you can place it under your knees.
Especially if you've got any low back issues, placing it under the knees is a great option. You could also place the feet as wide as your mat and then lean the knees in towards each other if you've got low back tension. So just a variety of options here. Feel free to lengthen the legs out in front of you. Allow the feet to splay open at a comfortable angle. Same with the arms. You can bring those out at 45 degrees, or you could do cactus arms here if you really need some stretch across your chest. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Roll over to your right side. Then bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position. Feel free to bring your hands up to heart center. So I hope you've been able to reflect on your foundation and build your foundation for a successful day ahead. May the compassion, the love, and the light in me honor the compassion, the love, and the light in you. Thank you for practicing with me this morning. Namaste.